time it is!
Welcome to the C-Squared Hour. I am your host, Chris. Recording this episode halfway through December. So, this horrible year of 2020 is almost over. Well, I've told you all, the world's ending in 2021. They just screwed up the Mayan calendar thing. Jumping right into it, for this episode, I'm drinking what is aptly named Brewski's Blonde Ale. Ale brewed with orange peel and honey. Out of the Iron Goat Brewing Company here in Spokane, Washington. I actually just came across this at my one of my local convenience stores. I have two, convenience stores, because I know the guys. So it's one of those, if it's too busy, they let me leave with the coffee, just get out of here. You're good. And, they enjoy seeing me because I'm a break from the gray and wash they have to deal with. Anyway, I was also recommended this beer, so it was almost like a sign from above that I should grab this one. But yeah, I see it. It's very good. Apparently, it's only made with water, malt, hops, orange peel, honey, and yeast. So very minimal ingredients. I don't know why I'm doing that voice so often so early. Too much, too soon. But no, it's very good. I would definitely see this as a summer kind of, if you wanted to drink it all day, it's, not too heavy for day drinking, but it's not, too light to, be slamming it back like it's, something light that you don't want to drink too much of. So, Brewski's Blonde Ale from Iron Goat here out of Spokane. Now, let me tell you how much of a fucking idiot I am. I've seen Iron Goat around. They sponsor a lot of stuff here, and I always thought it was just a clever name. Then I remember Spokane likes to think they are famous for this fucking garbage-eating goat that they have, where all it is basically a wind tunnel like you have at the bank to send up the money thing. It's just that, only it takes your garbage, and it's a goat, so it's a garbage-eating goat. So obviously, that's what they named this after. Boy, am I dumb. Now, I want to tell you all, before I get too far into this, you might be wondering where the other Chris is. And really, I gotta commend him for this. He decided that this is the year he's gonna really follow through on his New Year's resolution. You know what he did? He decided to start it early. His resolution for as long as I've known him, we're talking 15, 16 years now. He's always wanted to follow Foghat on tour. And, they're touring all the time. One of the hardest working 70s bands, in America right now. You put them with Foreigner and they are all over the fair circuit. But he's wanted to follow Foghat for, again, since I can remember. I guess it comes back to like a grand uncle or a great uncle or some sort of shit like that. But yeah, he's wanted to follow Foghat, and he finally decided to do it. However, obviously had to cancel their tour this year, and they're talking about picking back up in the earliest date I saw was February, possibly. Yeah, I looked into it. Yeah, I know where to find Foghat tour dates. Shut up. But by looking into it, it looks like their first scheduled date is February. However, he was worried that it was one of those things where, he just had the right momentum and he really needed to, make sure he made this the year of Chris. The year he was going to finally live out his dreams. So right now, he is in a tent across the street from Foghat's bass player's house. Again, wanted to start following him on tour. He figured the best way to do that right now is they're not touring. They're at their home to make sure he actually followed through with his New Year's resolution. He decided to camp outside the house, which is very commendable. I am not one to make New Year's resolutions because, quite honestly, I don't know. I know how lazy I am, and so if I make a resolution, it's like I can't even resolve to get up on time the next day, let alone fucking plan something out for the year. Here's my resolution: get more of you douche nozzles listening to it. But I really commend Chris. So if any of you get tickets to Foghat next year, make sure to reach out to him. Make sure to let him know you heard about his dream, and he will be very appreciative of it. Now, there's a couple things I want to clear up. First of all, Randy, I'm not going to go further into this too much. Not as much as I usually do. But lace him up, bud. Let's do this. I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Name the time and place. And we'll be doing it. Again, not going too far into it. Another thing. I went really hard on the last episode about trying to brand my fans. Once again, I apologize for having the clicky pen. I will put that down. But I went very hard trying to brand my fans. And with the whole squarehead thing. And I'm obviously going to be getting merch, whether it's, just the C squared hour, whether it's, lace them up, Randy, whether it's, the squarehead thing. I'm just trying to get a branding thing going. Barstool's got the stoolies. I forget what else you have, but just trying to start branding, just trying to see, another revenue source. I'm done beating it to death. All right. I've done it the last few episodes. I'm sure a lot of you didn't hear it because, the majority of the talk came near the end of the episodes. And I know how most people listen to, no matter how long, I've looked into this, no matter how long your podcast is, most people listen to anywhere between 70 to 85% of it. No matter how long it is, you could have a 15-minute podcast. I've looked into the numbers, all right? So if you aren't lasting all the way through the 60 minutes, that makes one of us. But if you're doing that, understand, I know that that's how it goes. I'm not going to really hold it against you until I find out who the fuck you are. So, the Squarehead thing, I'm done beating to death. If you want to see Squarehead merch, if you want to see more logos, I did a mock-up of what I think a logo could look like on both my Twitter and Instagram. However, I'm a terrible artist. So, I just gave a rough idea. Now, if you jagoffs start wanting merch, sticker, I know a sticker guy, I know a t-shirt guy, I think I even know a bottom of the shoe guy. Not sure how that works, but know him. You gotta start spreading this around. You gotta start letting people know. I need at least a certain amount of quote-unquote orders before I can even consider letting my all my millions and millions of fans around the world get my merch. So, done with the Squarehead thing. Once again, I'll bring it up, but I'm not gonna beat it down like it's like it's a child of the 40s. And yeah, Randy, lace him up. And everyone who has any sort of indirect or direct contact, Kyle, saw you did in fantasy football. Thanks, bud. Anyone who has some sort of a direct or indirect content. That's another thing I'm going to get to. But anyone who has direct or indirect contact, there we go, with him, make sure to, let's get this started. I could see very much. I could see. Here's how I imagine this, and I've been, going on, being stuck in the house. I've been going on walks every day, and my mind wanders, and luckily it wanders outside of the house, so that's a better thing. But I could see us selling enough tickets to rent out, maybe not a stadium, but a theater, if you will. Sell enough tickets for a theater and have all the money go to charity. So, Randy, really, if you don't agree to this, you're taking money out of a charity's pocket. So, it's on you. Anyway, I almost didn't record this tonight. I could get, if anyone knows me, I could get a little down on myself sometimes. And I was looking at my notes, and the only note I had for this week was Dr. Fauci, AIDS Day. No idea what the fuck that means. No idea. And so I looked at that, I'm like, oh, god damn it, I'm such a fucking idiot. And I look at that, and I started thinking, okay, well, you're semi-new at this. Things like that are forgivable. Whatever. If anyone has any idea what I was thinking, Dr. Fauci and AIDS Day, again, let me know, because I'm still trying to fucking figure it out. And I get to it, I'm like, hey, I'm new. I have time to figure this shit out, Everyone I know who listens is, sticking with me through the growing pains and what have you. Then I look on iTunes and I say, what are the biggest podcasts? And I look there, and the first one that comes up, Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes. So really, what I'm going against are Jason Bateman, who, the darling of the B comedy movie scene, Will Arnett, who, goddamn, is doing his damnedest to find a job, and Sean Hayes, the gay guy from that TV show that was on twice. I'm battling with them. All right. Fair enough, they're just trying to do, I don't know, whatever. I mean, two of them probably need jobs, and the other one's doing them a favor. Look further down. Dax Shepard is another one. Dax Shepard. So now what I'm realizing, and if you look at the next group, I have Zach Braff and Donald whatever, who was Turk on Scrubs. They're doing a fucking podcast. So I'm going against them. And the last one that I came across was the two broads, Pam and Angela from The Office. Now, I loved both Scrubs. Actually, I loved Arrested Development, Scrubs, and The Office. But I am sitting here trying to get my mess. I'm not even doing this for the money or the fame. I'm trying to get my message of batshit out to not only the country, but the world. My brand of crazy has really been lost in this day and age. What I like to describe my kind of crazy as is end of the bar crazy, or back of the room of a dive bar crazy. That guy that guy who's there every night. You're at that same bar, and until you get the right kind of drunk, you don't want to know what the fuck that guy is thinking. But then you get the right kind of drunk, and you go back and talk to him, and you realize, holy shit, this guy, I agree with this guy a little more than I wish to. I am the back of the bar guy, except I shower. That's the only difference. So this is what I like to call back of the bar commentary. And I'm going against fucking people who really, what it sounds like is, didn't save their money well. Alright. I'm going to do a new segment here. It's going to be a quick one. And really, I started this after the big Netflix documentary craze, really. And so I'm going to give my way too late analysis on documentaries I see, mostly on Netflix, but there's other ones. Today, Making a Murderer. We all remember that. Stephen Avery, convicted murderer who had it overturned, but then turned out to get convicted for murdering another broad later down the road, and they leave out him lighting cats on fire and shit like that. If you remember, the documentary, showed a lot of what they thought was prosecutorial. Look at that. See, slowing down. I've been drinking, but I made sure to slow down. You're welcome, people. Learning on the job. But they showed a lot of misconduct. And when you look further into it, there was less, and he is guilty or he isn't guilty or whatever. And then they did the second part, but I didn't watch the second part because no one gives a fuck about the second part. Here is my analysis from it. For a crime like that, Stephen Avery really needed to hire a chick lawyer. 2 white dudes are fine, especially in Wisconsin. They're fine. But for a crime like that, you really need a chick defense attorney. I think that's where he went wrong. And Brendan Dassey or whatever may not have had anything to do with it, may have gotten railroaded, whatever. He deserved some sort of punishment, because if you watch the interrogation videos, he's wearing those fucking jeans that have the zippers where you can zip off the bottom and turn them into shorts. That's what that fucking kid was wearing. So you know what? He deserves some sort of punishment. Maybe not prison, maybe not a murder conviction. He deserves something. I mean, at least juvenile detention for... Obviously, the parents are doing something wrong if he's wearing those fucking pants. Well, there is my analysis of Making a Murderer. Now that that's out of the way, I want to talk about, obviously, the big news from college football. The Heisman Trophy race is over. Because if a kicker wins Player of the Week in a Power 5 conference for making a kick less than halfway down the field, a kickoff less than halfway down the field when you're down by 100 fucking points. Apparently, if that person just makes an extra point, they have to win the Heisman, right? Well, poor Sarah Fuller. I guess her time has come to an end on the football team. Here is what I have to say about that. And I really... My title of my last episode was Broken Record, and here I am going off on another fucking tangent I went off on already, but you weren't that good. I'm sorry to say it, hon. But quite honestly, I would be willing to bet you weren't even the best you weren't even the best choice on your own fucking team. But we're relatively attractive, and it'll get on SportsCenter. If you get a fucking toe-footed, bald soccer player, you're not going to get on SportsCenter. So they throw her out there, and she makes an extra point that barely. I mean, it didn't barely. It made it by pretty good. I probably shouldn't undersell this, but it was an ugly ass kick. We'll just say that. And quite honestly, and her parents are up there hugging, and really, if you're gonna do that, at least make sure they're good enough. Like, make it look, I don't know how to say this, make it not look like just a publicity stunt. Make it look like, hey, you know what? She may be on scholarship over here, but look, if we gave her a shot, she might be able to make the team as a kicker. First of all, the bitch had 2 kicks in her college career. Both of them, I could have kicked just as well. You give me 3 warm-up kicks, I could do them just as well. But hey, she's abroad, so let's throw her in there. And then you got her parents hugging and like, oh my god, this is so great. She's a trailblazer. No, she's a fucking publicity stunt for an 0-8 team. You think a team that was winning anything would risk throwing in someone like that. And I'm not saying woman. I'm not saying that. No team with a winning record. The Cancer Kid is never given a touchdown by a team with a winning record. That's in essence what they did. They basically said, look, you are the equivalent of a child fan who is having a Make-A-Wish dream. Because, quite honestly, that's what the performance looked like, and that's what it got treated like. And if I were any sort of, I said this before, if I were any sort of real Division I female athlete, I would be insulted. Because, quite honestly, I know a couple former Division I female athletes who, not even soccer players, who could kick it just as well, if not better. Like I said, you give me 3 warm-up kicks, I will make a college extra point look just as good, if not better than that. So, congratulations, Sarah Fuller, on your Heisman win. You really earned it. But it looks like her career's come to an end. So obviously what had happened was they didn't get as big of a story as they did the first time. So it's like, well, no one's going to look at our football team now if we keep throwing her in here. So it's done. Oh, breaking news. Ghislaine Maxwell offers $28.5 million for bail. Well, I will be. Anyway, that is what I had on that. And again, I feel really bad for going off. And you know what? Fuck no. I don't feel bad for it. You know why? Because this just blind following of a narrative on both sides where it's, if you're on the progressive side, this is the biggest win for women's rights and they got the right to vote. And this is the greatest moment in female sports history. And if you're on the other side, whoa, they need to keep their sports. Here's what you need to do. If you're good enough to do it, play for the team. But it shouldn't matter. And here's another problem, women can play men's sports, but men can't play women's sports. I actually, pretty big thought about that. So, anyway, congratulations to the Vanderbilt backup kicker for winning the Heisman because she made an extra point and her parents hugged like she just fucking hit her 600th home run. I watched the junior documentary again, so that's stuck in my head. What do we got? I was going to go into... Well, let me go into the NFL a little bit here, because last night, there is nothing more than I like than a garbage time score and then looking up the spread. What I want to do is... And I had nothing to do with this, so before you jump on, I want to apologize to every kid who won't be getting a Christmas present and every wife who had to take a couple lumps. Because after last night, since the Browns took that safety, it was the rate, the Browns were getting 3 points in that game. Ravens took a 3-point lead. So, all right, it's a push, I didn't win, but I didn't lose. All of a sudden, that safety happens. If you took the Browns, you lost in Vegas. And again, just looking at that, I have to apologize to these kids. Your Christmas is gonna suck because they decided to lateral it out of the end zone for that last play. Tough break, guys. Now, I love a good conspiracy. Absolutely love it, as you can tell. And I believe a lot of them. I hope and wish they don't extend to sports. However, that is the one place I'm going to choose to try to remain naive. Because if you look at last night, so it's pretty clear Baltimore wins. And then all of a sudden, rather than move it further up the field, they go backwards and it goes for a safety. So that changed the betting line. I hope to God that there wasn't something in there. But I see that shit happen too often, where the college football game 2 years ago, to run out the clock rather than just taking a knee, they ran backwards to make sure the clock ran all the way down and then fell in the end zone for a safety. And that beat the spread too, or whatever. God damn, that was hilarious. So, all those kids who aren't getting Christmas, just know Baker Mayfield's fault. And let's see. I'm pretty much done with, the NFL. I'm watching all the games, but as far as, going deep into it, the Niners are basically done. My fantasy football team's garbage. So, I'm going to make a prediction here. Josh Allen is the next Jim Kelly in Buffalo. He will make it to 4 straight Super Bowls and not win one of them. And it has nothing to do with Josh Allen. It's because God doesn't want people in Buffalo to be happy. You look at the goal in the Dallas Sabres, the Dallas Stars versus Buffalo Sabres for those non-hockey people. If you look at that, and it probably wasn't a good goal. If you look at that, obviously Dallas winning the cup that year. Obviously, God doesn't like Buffalo. I won't say Buffalo. God doesn't like Buffalo fan. Like, you get the fucking waterfall, you don't get any sports. So, enjoy it while you can, Buffalo fan. And if you happen to make it to 4 straight Super Bowls and don't win one of them, just know that's God saying, hey, you got the waterfall. What else do you want? That's why Pittsburgh's won 6. That's why, because no one wants to be in Pittsburgh. That's why Boston or New England has won so many, because no one wants to be there. San Francisco won a bunch. Me being a 49ers fan, this pains me to say, but it's turned into a socialist hellscape. So obviously, Dallas, no one wanted to live there until a few years ago. And since then, the Cowboys have been garbage. So really what the universe is saying, if you want to enjoy a team success, it's going to have to be a team with nothing else going on. Buffalo has the waterfall. You're fucked. Sorry. That's why Pittsburgh's winning so much. Philadelphia has the bell. Sorry. All right. Boston has racism. So that's why they still get winning, because of all the, because of when all the, players aren't in uniform, they're getting kicked out of certain restaurants, from what I'm told. So Vegas is fucked. John Gruden has no chance. You know what? Seattle might be looking pretty fucking good for next few years going forward, if that's the thing. Because people are leaving Seattle like, I don't know, like it's a bad place to live. Is it? Both the Rams and the Chargers are probably going to be pretty fucking good for all that. That's why Miami sucked, because, it's turned into a party place. In the 70s, no one wanted to go to Miami. It was all fucking drugs and Cubans. Now it's turned into a fucking, tourist spot. So you don't get to win anything. That's why Kansas City beat San Francisco. San Francisco may suck to live in currently because of all the political stuff and homeless and unhomeless or whatever the fuck's going on in that city, but better than Kansas City, so that's why Kansas City. God damn it, that is a pretty good. I'm gonna have to look back. I think the shittier city always wins the Super Bowl. I'm trying to. Nope, not true. Denver beat Green Bay. Going back to there. So Denver beat Green Bay. I'm gonna have to look further into it, but I bet it's a pretty good betting Kind of, if you're going to bet the Super Bowl, because betting the Super Bowl is fucking dog shit, because it's an event. You don't know who's going to show up. You don't know who's going to freak out. And, Ghislaine Maxwell should have never cut her hair. Anyway, you never know who's going to show up. You never know who's going to... And because of the whole event thing and all that, yeah, that would be a pretty good way to bet the Super Bowl. I only bet the Super Bowl. I only bet the prop bets. How long's national anthem, over, under, coin flip, all that sort of stuff. So Buffalo, here's what you got to do. You got to blow up that waterfall, or you got to play a better city. Which the problem is the NFL are all in these, they only succeed in places that suck. There aren't teams that are in places that people want to live never stick around. Never stick around. So, that being said, get rid of the waterfall, Buffalo, if you want to win anything. All right, before I go on to what I gave all my square... Fuck, I promised I wasn't going to do that. Before I move on to the homework, it was announced yesterday that the Cleveland Indians... That's baseball. The Cleveland Indians are going to be changing their name. And it was announced today that they're not going to do it this year, however. They are going to... It's not going to be in 2021. It's going to be after that because they want to do some market research and they don't want to just be the Cleveland baseball team like the Redskins have done. And they want to make sure that this isn't done hastily. Here's the problem. You didn't change your logo soon enough. You tweaked it, but you didn't get rid of it soon enough. And because of that, you have to change your name. If you got rid of Chief Wahoo, which... one of my favorite logos in sports. I mean, because they are just... there is no nuance in that logo. They are basically saying, hey, this is what us in Ohio think Native Americans look like, or looked like when we did this logo. So, I'm actually wearing a Chief Wahoo hat right now, a Cleveland Indians hat. I have a shirt. I will be ordering more Cleveland Indians hats, now that they're doing this, but... here's what I'm thinking, because there's the whole big thing when they said, you know what, we're not going to use the logo on our hats, we'll still have them on our sleeves for the next year, and then we'll get them off just because of all this stuff and whatever reason they gave. The year after they announced that, Chief Wahoo's still on the arm sleeve. So I think maybe they're just hoping people forget. Which, people are dumb or people are whatever. So, not a bad idea. If you really don't want to change it, say, hey, look, we're looking into it. We understand this is insensitive. We're looking into it. And then just don't fucking do it because people will be onto their own goddamn thing. Just fucking tell people you're working on it and then keep your mouth shut. No one will know the difference. Alright, so I was really excited about this last week. And I think the reason, it could have been the lack of sleep. It could have been, whatever beer I was drinking. It could have been whatever. But I was really excited about this guy, Lucas Werner, who it was about 4 years ago, got famous for slipping a 16-year-old girl a note at a Starbucks, basically saying he wants to impregnate her because of his longer, he says it both ways, telomerase or telomeres or whatever he calls them. He thinks that he would make a better father, because, men over 35 should have stronger sperm tails or whatever, and they should be impregnating women with better eggs or whatever. So he's done all this goddamn research, and I got really fucking excited because I'm looking through all of his videos, and there is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of him just going off and talking about how he sees all these quote unquote gray-haired guys with these younger chicks that are clearly using his research to get with these chicks, but none of these chicks will get with him, so they're basically stealing his research to hook up with these broads. So, and if you looked into him, you obviously know what I'm talking about. And he's gone on. Apparently, he's big into premium board games. He's very much a Bernie supporter, and the religious right is out to get him, as well as whatever. But I was really thinking he's in Spokane. He is apparently, destitute and, homeless, and he's anyone who quote unquote follows him on things. He's writing messages for, hey, I'll give you an interview for food or some shit like that. I was really excited, and then I woke up next day and I start feeling bad. Like, the dude's obviously mentally ill. Like, it's abundantly clear. He spent 8 months in a mental institution. He said it was because of, quote, the trolls who were going after him, but really, it's abundantly clear he's been in and out of the mental institution. You could actually tell on his videos when he just got out, because he's still somewhat on his medication and then he's off. I felt a little bad because I was just gonna bring him on as a goddamn joke. He would have been and would be hilarious. And all you gotta do is play along to the guy. If you just pretend like you are following what the fuck he's saying or agree with him in any sort of way, he will go off and he will love it. But then there's the whole mental issue, and then I started thinking, well, he's been doing these videos and he has the same message whether he's on the antipsychotic drugs, in my opinion, or he's not on them, in my opinion, based on his, mood fluctuations, if you will. He gets very angry sometimes. There's a lot of yelling. Sometimes there's spitting. He has the same ideas. As soon as he gets a phone working, he's posting that he wants an 18-year-old girl to go out to dinner with him. So I felt a little less bad about it, because he's obviously nutty regardless of, what sort of treatment he's getting. So before you jump down my shit too much, I know it was a shitty thing to think about, but I still would love to have him on the show. I got talked out by one person. I had someone else tell me to do it. If you jagoffs want specific things, I am willing to mold my show for you. If you jagoffs want specific things, if you want to hear this guy speak on my show and hear how I interview this guy, let me know, because I will do it. You just have to let people know it's for the joke. It's not for seriousness. I even fucking reached out on Facebook groups and say, hey, I'm thinking about this, and let me know if you want to hear this, but you have to make sure to understand he's nutty. The scary thing from watching him is I have a certain amount of envy to the guy. There is something so beautiful is not the right word, but something so je ne sais quoi about being just able to spout off whatever the fuck you want, whatever the fuck you're thinking, and just not give a flying fuck what it looks like. There's just something so, again, I'm a little, especially with, trying to start a podcast and trying to do that. The fact that all that shit can spout out of his head, he is saying exactly what he's thinking. What he's thinking is, I want to hook up with a broad under 25. He justifies it later, but he's saying exactly what he wants to do. I want to fuck a younger chick. That's all he's saying. That to me is, fuck. I don't know how to say this without coming off like a douchebag. Someone who is recording a podcast, who is basically just spouting off his ideas. The fact, I will never have that level of freedom. I will never be able to just sit down and say, you know what? this. Because there's always going to be that voice in the back of my head that says, people are going to think this about you. People are going to think this about you. You can't say that because then other people might think this, or your friends might hear this. And I wish I had a little bit more of the, fuck it, I'm saying whatever I want, however I want it. And again, that comes from the mental illness. I get that, but that is why I love people watching. That is why I love going to Walmart at the middle of the fucking day. That's why I love going to any sort of public transportation hub and just watching, because people watching is the best with people who don't realize that what they're doing is not accepted in society. Not illegal, not just, it's like, you people don't realize what you look like. You people don't realize what you sound like. And it's just fascinating to me. I don't do it to look down on them. And like I said, there is a certain level of envy I have. And I think that's why this Lucas Werner guy is, his story went and, came and went, and whatever. It went national for a while, allegedly. I don't read national shit. It went national and then it went away. But I'm still watching this shit because there's a fascination in me that says, God damn, I wish I could just not give a fuck. And I just love watching people who don't give a fuck, regardless of the reason. It's fascinating. So, after last week's episode, I decided, not to reach out to him this soon, especially with how, quote unquote, young my podcast is. I decided not to do it, but I'm still thinking about it. And all you squareheads, see, I'm not pausing beforehand. I'm just gonna call you that from now on. I'm not gonna make a thing about it. Just gonna call you that from now on. From now on, if you guys want it or you don't want to hear it, Twitter, Instagram, maybe Facebook if I get around to doing that. I just don't like social media that much. So, if you look at my personal Instagram, it is basically exactly the same minus 3 posts of my show's Instagram. I just share them in both spots. Twitter, it's the same way. I just I tweet once every 2 weeks. And I share it on my show's Twitter, and that's where you got it. I don't like social media that much, but I understand it's, the nature of the beast and what have you. But hit me up, Twitter, Instagram. If you have my number, you could text me. Let me know if you want to hear this guy, because I'm willing to do it. But you're gonna have to let people know, because I know you are going to be telling all your friends about this. So just make sure they know when I get the guy on, I don't condone any of his nonsense. Alright, now that we're winding down, let's get rid of all the... So, they just announced the Boxing Hall of Fame inductees. And so, if you look at the list, Floyd Money is getting in. Vladimir Klitschko, Layla Ali, Andre Ward, Son of God. Tyler's a fan. Andre Ward is getting in. Also, he was the bank on the first Creed movie, so got quite a bit of... And let's see, Andre Ward. And then, Ann Wolfe, who... See, I should have done this earlier, because here's what I'm going to say. I'm not anti-broad. I'm anti-handy shit to people. You look at Ann Wolfe, who they say, and I didn't know this until I looked into her a little bit further, but they say, quite possibly the best woman's boxer of all time, which, fair enough. That's worth getting her into... Wait, real quick. Treasure Island Las Vegas is advertising, and they are on Court TV, and they are using women in bikinis on mechanical bulls to advertise it. And they're saying they have draft beers. Anyway, now that I'm done with that, I got distracted by a commercial. I apologize. It was a bikini. What do you expect from me? Ann Wolfe, they say, is possibly the best female boxer of all time. I had no idea. What I do know her as is they talk about her as a trainer in her training camps, her beating the living fuck out of people in training camps. And her quote was, this isn't a direct quote, but her basically says, if you could survive my camp, you could survive anything in the ring. Which makes sense. So a lot of, big time boxers, had her as a trainer, and she did a lot of good for them. The biggest name she had was a guy named James Kirkland, who was always on the border of, being a champion, always being a contender, what have you. And I don't know if he lost a fight or if he missed it. Anyway, for some reason he didn't get a belt. And so what he decided to do was to go with a new trainer. And the first fight with a new trainer, I forget who was fighting. He could have been just out of his thing. But the first fight he had without his trainer, he gets knocked out in the second round. And it's just like, maybe the trainer isn't the fucking problem. So what I'm going to say is, call me sexist all you want. Call me all that stuff, because, I just learned that this isn't printed on the can. It's just a label. They call me whatever you want. Call me sexist. Call me whatever. But obviously, she was the best person for that job, so she should have done it. Kirkland made a mistake firing her. Which, look at this. Full circle. Which brings me back to the circle. She wasn't the best person for the job. So we shouldn't just fucking hand it to her, so people will still put Vandy on TV, even though they're 0-9. So anyway, Ann Wolfe getting in, and just by her professional boxing career was good enough, but from her training career, I would have done it. But yeah, you got Floyd Money, who's going to do that stupid fight. Klitschko, obviously, Layla Ali, Andre Ward. Here is the big thing that happened in the boxing world. At 2 p.m. Pacific time, in this great north/south America. That would be a good question. Is any country in South America on the Pacific time zone? I mean, I know it kind of is diagonal. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But 2 o'clock Pacific time, Anthony Joshua, I can't even read my handwriting, Pulev, fought in England. And Joshua knocked him out. And the punch that knocked him out, it was just textbook of how a cool knockout should look. The problem is, if you watch the rest of the fight, like, he should have got him out a lot earlier. If you're gonna be the big name in heavyweight fighting, with how hurt you had him early, it can't last as long as it did. So anyway, Joshua wins. They're talking about Fury Joshua happening. So we'll see if Eddie Hearn can get along with Bob Arum better than fucking Al Heyman can, because it's been a pissing match trying to get the under cross on. Of course, Eddie Hearn they don't probably have the, Eddie Hearn's on the Europe side, where, Al Heyman and Bob Arum are on the US side, so there might not be the local or the they might not see him on a day-to-day basis, so there's familiarity breeds content. If you see someone a lot, you don't like them. So that probably doesn't happen. If if you're dealing with a guy in Europe, but yeah, they're talking Fury, Joshua. The biggest takeaway I had from it, and there's pretty good undercard. It was on DAZN, so was this a justified use of force? Car pursuit turns into a shootout. Court TV, I've said this before. I just look at the bottom, but Court TV needs hotter broads. When they were big, like the Casey Anthony thing, like they had some pieces of ass working there, so they need to go back to that. So on DAZN, and the main commentator is Brian Kenny, who's been around. He was ESPN's boxing guy for a while, worked or still works for MLB Network. I know he's done some boxing stuff for Fox, but he spent the entire fucking broadcast, every fight, talking about how the ref did something fucking wrong. Talking about how, he should have done this, he should have done this, he should have done... Well, there was a lot more shit going on in those fights, and the ref should have separated them 3 missed punches earlier, or I think he should have stopped the fight in the 6th rather than, letting him try to come out for the 7th, even though he followed every... Any guy with a haircut like that should not be judging anyone's opinion on anything. If you're going to have... He has a haircut where it's basically... those people who... And I used to be like, like they shave their heads, but they put an attachment on it, So it's... they still have all their hair there, but it's just really, 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 really short. He has that kind of hair, only it's fucking sticking up 2 inches above his fucking head. If that's the best haircut you can get, I really don't want you judging what someone else does. And quite honestly, I don't think DAZN's going to make it, unfortunately. No matter how good Matchroom boxing guys are. I mean, what you have basically Golovkin and Canelo just... I don't know if Canelo left, but he's out of there. You have Golovkin, you have Joshua, you have Alvarez. I mean, those are the biggest names. Well, Jacobs is there, but anyway, I hope you got your money up front, homie, because I don't think that's going to happen. And I may take this a little personally, but I blame the refs for a lot less than what people do. And even the other Chris has got annoyed with me watching sports with me. Oh, yeah, that was a shitty call, but you see why he made that call. And he gets mad about it. And the same thing, you look at this guy who's on Fox, Joe Goosen, who's allegedly a trainer. I mean, he's the undercard of undercard trainers. And he looks, if you look at his fucking face, he looks like a puppet. I'm not saying like a marionette. A marionette. He actually looks like that. And he fucking said a bunch of shit in the Lopez Santana fight. This was last week. Yeah, Lopez, he should have stopped it in the 9th. The referee should have done it. And then Sean Porter comes out and says, who hopefully fights Terrence Crawford next. Hopefully, Heyman and Arum can get that fight done. Just because the fights work out, I want to see Crawford. I would love to see Crawford and Spence, but give me Crawford and Porter. Let them see how dangerous Crawford is. But if Joe Goose said, they should have stopped it, but he didn't. And then Porter comes on and says, hey, he did everything he was supposed to do. The referee, he stood up by the end of the 8th count. Referee had him walk left, had him walk right, had him walk forward, and he was doing all that. What the fuck is the ref supposed to do? Which is the exact thing. You have the corner, you have the doctor, you have the fighter, and then you have the ref. They are the 4th line of defense. If they do everything that the fucking ref tells them to do, it's out of the referee's hands. Because what's going to happen next time is a referee's going to hear Puppet Face running his mouth about that, and he's going to stop the fight too early, and then Jeff Dunham's fucking puppet is going to, oh, how could he stop that fight early? They were still Make up your fucking mind. Here's what happens. It's up to the corner, it's up to the fighter, it's up to the doctor, and then it gets to the ref. If everyone else lets him go out there and he follows every referee instruction, it still goes. It's not the referee's fucking fault. I will finish off there. I'm about an hour. I will looking through my notes. That's about all I had. Zip up, Lucas Warner. So, basically, to end the show, I would love to see a Fury Joshua fight, but give me Crawford Porter. I prefer Crawford Spence, but the timing doesn't work out the way it should. So Porter and Crawford are going to be, with training camps and all that, and are going to be at about the same level. So let's get that fight. Let Crawford show that he's the fucking man at that weight by walking through Porter, which no one's done in that division. No one's walked through that guy. I mean, he's lost, but it's been fucking close. So let's get, if you can make, you made Fury Wilder happen. This is going to be a better product. Make it happen. All right, I might be running a little long here. So before I finish up, I just want to remind everybody, you are hearing me on Iron Goat's Brewski's Blonde Ale. I just recently saw it in stores. I've actually been told to try it out, and I highly recommend it. And again, I'm sorry to Iron Goat Brewing for not realizing what the fuck you guys were talking about when you did this. I'm stupid. So, thank you all for listening. I appreciate it, even though you could go listen to you could go listen to the two broads talk about their time on The Office or whatever, and you chose to listen to me, and I appreciate that. Send me your beer recommendations. Subscribe. Share to everybody you know. Give me a reason to keep coming back, alright? I don't got much. Give me a reason. Alright. Before I say goodbye to all my square heads, dropped another one. Just want to remind everybody to let Randy know I'm still waiting. Lace him up, bud. Alright, love you all. I will see you next week.